I'm going to be showing you guys the 11 essential leveling up tips for Blox Fruits, including a pretty easy way to get 3 permanent Buddha fruits. So let's go to the first trick. So starting off, we got which fruit you should use to grind. Most of you watching are in the first C, so I'm going to recommend the light, ice, or magma fruit. All of these fruits are good in their own ways. The light and ice fruit have their own sword, so you don't need to upgrade your sword to be able to do passive damage with your fruit. And the magma fruit overall is also a pretty good fruit for grinding because it does some extra damage. And what I mean by this is after you use most of your magma abilities, you'll notice that the magma stays behind for a while. When enemies step over this magma, it does a bunch of extra damage. As far as these fruits go, they're just starter fruits that most people can get their hands on, but once you get into higher seas, there are some better fruit choices. Next up is something that most of you probably already know. So if you come to this cave on the Winter Island, you find the abilities teacher, and from this guy, the most important ability that you want to buy is Enchantment. And you need Enchantment because once you start fighting higher level NPCs, some of them will have elemental type fruits and you won't be able to hit them unless you have Enchantment. Enchantment also does a bunch of extra damage when you have it turned on, which is really good in my opinion. And you can also buy these other abilities like Flash Step and Sky Jump, but Enchantment is probably the most important one for just grinding. Another important thing to know in this game is know exactly which fruits are good for grinding and which fruits are good for PvP. For example, if you take a fruit like the magma, it's really good for grinding, but the dough fruit isn't as good as grinding as the magma is. But those abilities are more suited for player versus player fights. And since you can only have one fruit equipped in this game, I recommend to all of you watching that you should probably get a grinding fruit. And maybe once you're completed the game and you're max level, then you can go for a nice PvP fruit. I mean, many of you know that there are a bunch of good game passes in the game, like the Fruit Notifier and the Dark Blade, but in my opinion, these are not that good for grinding. The only 2 game passes that you'll need is the Double Mastery and the Double Money. Having Double Mastery could let you level up a fruit, combat style, or sword much faster than you would normally. And the reason you should also buy Double Money is because having this game pass will let you buy many things in this game. So once you get enough money or get a high enough level to unlock the second C, you should be able to buy the Buddha fruit. Just wait for it to come to the Blox Fruit dealer, and I recommend that this is the one fruit that you should keep your eye on and buy it as soon as it's available because it is the best fruit in the game for grinding. Once you use the Z ability that it has, Transform, it makes your character 800% bigger. And once you get to a much higher level, you can Awaken the Buddha, which makes it even better, but we'll get to that later. If you would like to have a permanent Buddha fruit so you can switch it out when you're farming, I'm going to be giving away 3 permanent Buddha fruits. To enter the giveaway, enter your name in the description, like, and subscribe. And once this video hits 1,000 likes, I'll be giving it away in the next video. This one is something that most of you watching already know. I'm talking about codes, and codes are a really good way to make your XP farming 10 times easier. There are a lot of codes, you can just search them up. I'll even link a website in the description. And most of the codes in this game give you double experience for a limited amount of time. And I'm sure you all know that double experience makes it so much faster to level up. And if you combine all of these codes, you should have at least 5 hours of double XP. And this is enough to finish a lot of islands. This next trick is something that I wish somebody told me when I was still in the first sea. So when you're in a boss quest and after you kill it, it takes 20 minutes for the boss to respawn. And a much faster way to kill that boss again instead of just waiting 20 minutes is to server hop. And what is server hopping, you might be asking? So you click this thing and you just join a new server, and there's a pretty good chance that the same boss should be right there. This makes it much faster to grind XP because the boss quest from an NPC gives you way more than the other quests. And if you want to guarantee that when you're server hopping you don't join the same server again, you just have to block someone from your game before you do it. And also because nobody wants to pay 50 Robux to just respawn a boss. Another thing is to remember to always use the correct fighting style because there's a huge difference between the default fighting style and Water Kung Fu. After buying your enchantment, the only thing that you want to save up for is Water Kung Fu. Water Kung Fu is probably the best fighting style for the whole of the first sea. And since you can later upgrade this to Sharkman Karate, it just makes it all the more worth it. Sharkman Karate and Water Kung Fu are the best fighting styles for grinding in this game. And the reason for this being is that they don't have a delay between their third attack. And also combined with the Buddha fruit, it just makes it so much easier to grind out enemies. Going back to the Buddha from before, as soon as you get into the second sea, first thing that you're going to do is awaken your Buddha. And the good thing about this is that you only have to awaken your first ability, the rest are pretty useless. And once you awaken your Buddha, the range at which you can hit people increases by a good amount. And also the damage you take while in the transformed Buddha form reduces from 40% to 50%. It makes it the best devil fruit awakened version for grinding in the whole game. Unless unless they make a new update and add some overpowered fruit. And now we're gonna get into the most important tip of this whole video: stats. Knowing how to upgrade your stats can make a significant difference to how fast you level up. And so if you're in the first sea, what you probably want to upgrade is your melee, defense, and devil fruit, all equally. But remember, this is only if you have the light, ice, or magma fruit. If you're taking a different approach to grinding, like with the Buddha fruit and a combat style, what you want to do, put around 80% of your stat points into your melee and the rest of it into your defense. And one thing that you most definitely do not want to do is split evenly between all 5 stats. And this is because the gun is utter trash.